My name is Tue Madsen, and you're geeking out to Gear Gods.
I'm Joey Sturgis with Nail the Mix, and you're geeking out to Gear Gods. So I'm Joey Sturgis, and I am here at NRG Recording Studios with Tue Madsen for Nail the Mix. We're mixing Meshuggah, which is really exciting.
I produced the last Meshuggah album. I met Dick at Anders' wedding, Anders from The Haunted, at his wedding, about 3 in the morning or something. We were talking, and he said that him and Frederick, I think he said, was like, you know, whenever they would dream about things, they were dreaming about me doing the next album. And I was like, well, you should call me. But it was 3 in the morning at a wedding and people were drunk, so I didn't do so much about it. But then, I don't know, a year later or something, wrote Frederick a message and just saying, hey, if Dick said this and that at the wedding, and just wanted to let you know that if you were still thinking about me producing an album for you, I would be free for that weekend. And then he wrote me back, oh, really? That's so amazing. Let me talk to the guys. And then it started from there.
So Nail the Mix is our way of figuring out how to teach people how to mix music, because we thought you can't teach someone how to mix music with just one song. And music is always evolving, and so is audio and pro audio. So what we decided to do is create a service that changes every month. You know, it's a different song, it's a different mixer, and you get to hear different opinions and perspectives on how to approach mixing music every single month, and it changes, just like the music world changes and just how mixing evolves. So essentially every month, get a new song, download it, try your hand, and at the end, you get to sit down and watch us mix the song from beginning to end with the original mixing engineer who mixed that song.
I've been talking to Eyal for, actually since the first Darth album. I did a test mix to see if I was going to mix the album. And then he wrote me one day on Facebook and asked me if I would be interested. And I was like, yes and no, because it's kind of scary. One thing is for people to buy the album and listen to it and be like, yeah, this is cool. But another thing is to actually get all the secret ingredients, you know, to give away that kind of info and have people go like, oh man, this guy sucks. Everything sucks. So it's a bit scary, but also fun, because I basically don't think there's any reason for keeping secrets about how you do things, because as people will probably see tomorrow, it's not rocket science. At least for me, it's not. For me, it's always been about doing what my ears tells me to do. It has always been for me, like I remember I used to play in a band and we had an album that was mixed by John Coster, who did Corrosion of Conformity, Dag, and Cry of Love. I am a huge fan of John Coster. I produced the album back in Denmark, and then I brought the tapes for him in North Carolina to mix the album. And the way he did that and how he went about treating my precious tracks was just horrible. I was like, wow. But I really like everything this guy does, so why would I complain about him doing the kind of work that he's doing? Because obviously that's why I came here in the first place, and something really special came out of it, and it taught me shitloads to see that. People are never going to be able to, oh, maybe they will, but to do what I do, and that's not the point. The point is to inspire people, I guess, and let them maybe see a small snip of something that, oh, maybe I can do something in that way sometimes, and that will help in a completely different situation or something. Tricks can be applied to all kinds of situations where you didn't find it would necessarily fit. It was a huge eye-opener, and I hope I can be the same kind of eye-opener in some other ways for some people.
One of the biggest lessons you can learn from this session is essentially how to approach a song from a layered standpoint, because Tue really works with the mindset that I want to capture as many possible scenarios and as many angles of the audio as possible. So, you know, from a kick drum, you know, a typical metal album might have 1 or 2 mics, but if you look at his session, you know, it's like more than 4 mics just for one kick drum. And so I think, you know, one of the biggest things you can learn out of this is how to make a guitar tone out of 9 different signals, or how to make a kick drum out of 5 different signals, and really also how that can be beneficial to what you're trying to capture. When you're trying to make a band sound larger than life, you're not going to do it from a few signals. You're going to need, you know, multiple tracks in different miking positions and things like that. So even aside from the production standpoint, from a mixing standpoint, like trying to make all that stuff work together is a very challenging task. And so that's the biggest lesson I think to take away from here, is how to make a juggernaut like Meshuggah, you know, sound even larger than they already are.
That's a challenge. There was a lot of tracks recorded, a lot of guitar tracks and bass tracks and stuff, and keeping in mind their ideas of what things should sound like, combining it with my ideas of what things should sound like, and making sure that everything works in the end. People, including myself, expect a certain amount of punch from a record like that. You can't just mix it like Black Sabbath and say, yeah, but it's because we recorded live, so it doesn't matter. It's supposed to be really bad. It doesn't really work like that. So the initial idea for the album was to record live, and of course that's because you want a certain atmosphere and stuff. Thomas, to be able to play his bass drum patterns, needs pillows to get a certain kind of response from the pedals and from the heads and the bass drums. But that of course makes it's not like he's filling up the kick drums with material, but there is a little pillow in there, and that of course kills the pound feeling of an empty bass drum. And they mentioned that it would be great to have like big open bass drum sounds. And then I was like, well, we can always reamp it. And so that's what we did. After we finished recording everything and edited stuff and did what we had to do, I ran the bass drums through a couple of studio monitors and placed them in front of the bass drums. And I still had all the ambience and drum mics set up, and then recorded all that again. Once I did that with the bass drums, and you got that kind of like a reverb, but like a bass drum, like skins going every time you hit it. And once I did that to the bass drums, the toms sounded really small, and then I had to route the toms that way. And I think I even did it with the snare, because it just turned into this reverb machine that was really special. That's not something I do very often, but I really like the result of it. Also, we reamped all the guitar tracks through this amp I have from Salvation Mods called C-Watt, which is like a kind of like a Tony Iommi broken amp sound from early 70s or something. And this one is even more broken than anything Black Sabbath ever did. And then add to it like down-tuned 8-string Meshuggah type riffing. Run that through an amp like this, and it just sounded wrong for all the right reasons. Like we tried it out because we wanted to maybe use it on a few riffs, some of the more stony riffs, like get some of that some ugliness going. But once we heard it, it was just like someone said, we should do this on the whole album. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty funny, man. But then I was like, yeah, maybe we should try. And then we tried, and it just added so much life to the guitar sound we already had and we really liked. It just filled out a whole part of the sound that we didn't even know was missing until we heard it. But let me tell you, every time we started reamping a new track and you had the volume down, and then you just heard the sound from the amp coming through the door from some other room, and you're like, this can't be right. We're not recording this, because it would just be like, that's what it sounded like. But then you turn up the mix in here, and then you realized, yeah, it actually does work. It sounds really broken and destroyed by itself, but it, together with all the other sounds, it worked really well. That's not a sound I've been using very often, but since that record, I use it more than before. So it's not like we had to keep everything natural, but once you set out doing this live thing, and the way they play and stuff, it seemed very difficult. It didn't seem like the right thing to start throwing samples on all the drums, and keeping that balance of using the natural sounds is hard, and it's a hard balance. We'll see if I will hit that balance tomorrow again. I don't know, maybe not. And it's scary. I mean, if you mess up Meshuggah, people are gonna want to kill you. Same as if you fuck up Slayer, people are gonna want to kill you. So I'm just very happy that it seems like most people were happy with this record.
Meshuggah really stands out to me as like one of the leaders or forefront people who are really pushing the boundaries of the genre. So we wanted to pick a band that not only is doing that musically, but is also doing that sonically, because I feel like there's so much to learn from how they're doing that. And you know, once we found out that it was Tue, it was like, okay, we got to pick this guy's brain and see what he's really doing inside those tracks and inside those songs to really push the metal genre forward. So that's why we chose this song, because really there's just a huge opportunity to learn a lot of things about mixing metal music from this project.
Hearing that kind of music, precision riffing, and you know, music which is based on being really precise, otherwise it won't work, but have some of that, you know, sloppiness built into the music to make everything like dangerous. I'd say dangerous. It's like something for your brain to react to. Like you got to stay alert, because this is going to blow up in your face. And that's how I feel about those songs. It's a thing all by itself that you can't fuck with that.